Welcome everyone to the VCS English. It is the final week of regular season. A few more game days to go and we'll know exactly who is heading into playoffs. I'm Milky Cyril. I'm joined by Marvin Ogie. And I said that in a few days we might know who's going into playoffs. We might know who are the 4 teams going into playoffs in 2 hours.
Yep. This is a very important week. Of course, it's the final week. We get to discern all the standings. The rest of the week could be made a little bit less exciting if we see a Wales victory today. 2-0 guarantees everybody's locked in due to tiebreaker rules. Guarantees who the 4 teams in playoffs are. Seeding is yet to be sorted. But if it's a 2-1, tiebreakers get a little bit iffy, and Saigon Buffalo could still maybe sneak it in some way. And if Buffalo does win, then it's messy, and Saigon Buffalo can still make it in, and we can still have that potential 4-way tie for second place for playoffs, which could be interesting.
And if Team Wales get that win over Saigon Buffalo today, they go to 7-5. Saigon Buffalo will be on 5-7, and with just 2 series remaining, it is very difficult for Saigon Buffalo to be able to tie up with Wales. And even if they do, they lose on the head-to-head. Unless they lose 2-1, then there is a possibility that they can win head-to-head stuff. It all comes down to game. So even if they do lose 2-1, there's a possibility that Team Wales still have playoffs locked in, depending on game times and all of that. And let's not forget, Saigon Buffalo have to face off against GAM later on in the week. And GAM are currently undefeated in series. They have dropped a couple of games here and there. We'll also see GAM playing later on today against Cerberus. Cerberus look to lock in their second place spot in the split. But let's focus on the series at hand. Saigon Buffalo against Team Wales. Team Wales have improved a lot this season compared to 2022. Mainly that is because of the one change that they've made in their roster, with B coming in, replacing, CB, I want to say? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the bot lane change up wasn't quite what we sort of hoped, of it being more or less a side grade to that of Arietti, but B came in with his, and has shown, the leadership we've come to expect that he was known for on GAM. It's shored up a lot of their mid-game decision-making, which was Wales' biggest weakness. There's still inconsistency in the level of play out of the players, especially Glory and Killer Green will sometimes just have a game where everything goes wrong for them. But between a Nagia, who is consistently showing up, a much better understanding of what to do in that sort of mid-game, they've reached a much more stable level and definitely should be a favorite for playoffs. I mean, even if they don't win here, of course, with strength of schedule, they should be getting that pretty easily, unless an upset comes in from both Flash and Secret. So it's been a big step up. There's still obvious places the team can improve, and that is in consistency of play, consistency of drafts, and an upgrade of the bot side. Vitz, especially in Vitz laning, but it's been good to see. It's been great to see from this team, and it pairs well, because you look at the opposite side and it is not the same success story for all of the side of SGB.
Yeah, and just to kind of almost quantify that to some degree, Nagia has probably been one of the biggest improvements coming into this split. Not as much as, let's say, Hero and Enpa were in 2022, but he has massively improved his performance. On the other side, though, for Saigon Buffalo, you look at Harsmed, it's been the exact opposite. Harsmed, usually we see as being one of the best top laners in the split, playing these aggressive top laners like the Aatrox, the Akali, the Kennen. Now we're just seeing him pretty much on tank duty, and I don't know whether that's a case of Saigon Buffalo saying that, okay, Harsmed isn't performing well, so therefore they're going to put it onto these tanks, or if it's Saigon Buffalo saying, we're going to put Harsmed on these tanks, and that's why he's not playing as well.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. In part, we have a new jungler coming in, which has kind of completely changed the dynamic, but also the meta has sort of shifted away from Harsmed. His most played are things like the Gwen, the Aatrox, the Akali, by a pretty significant margin. Aatrox is gone, Akali is gone, Gwen is a fringe counter pick. then you maybe fall into the Gnar, but Gnar is sort of kind of in the same place as Gwen, and sort of you don't really want to be blind picking it left, right, and center. So it's sort of fallen into, okay, well, what can we put him on? We can put him on Cassante, we can put him on Jax, we can put him on Sion, but he's not really good, as amazing at these picks. And it actually his Jax is okay, but like the sort of tankier, the beefier front line it's not in his wheelhouse. He's gotten better as the split's gone on, but it's meant he started off the split at a real low point because he was having to play champions he's just not comfortable on, play a style he's just not comfortable with.
And then kind of moving through the rest of the Saigon Buffalo lineup, I feel like Shogun and Taki are still performing well. Maybe not as insane as they were in 2022, but they're still probably the rock of this Saigon Buffalo team. And going up against Vit and B, Vit is not, let's say he's not the superstar ADC that exists in the VCS. B, on the other hand, absolutely phenomenal. Was so for Gamb last season, still playing very well for Team Wells, but we recognize him more as that kind of roaming support, the big brain support, whereas Taki is great hand support.
Taki has always been like that. Beautiful. He's smart. He's obviously making a number of calls, but yeah, absolutely mechanical beast. We've seen just amazing plays. He's been one of the high proponents of these AD carry supports. He's actually both of these two supports were really the ones who were carrying that marksman support meta when at the start of the year. Ashe, Jhin, Caitlyn, these sort of things, and they have been the strength for the side of Buffalo, Shogun, and Taki. For sure, it hasn't been quite as impressive because Taki doesn't seem to link up as well with Guri as he used to with BJ. B is sort of he's trying to work alongside Killer Queen, and they've shown good synergy, but B has to babysit Vit in lane a lot more than he did style, and it all just sort of comes into these supports are still showing that they are great, but the circumstances are not letting them show the level that they were able to last year.
Yeah. And you can see on that picture, Haki very sad. That's because he hasn't got to play many games. CBL's very surprised that he's not playing any games at all this split, and Vit is, making the crying face for Haki because Haki doesn't get to play any games. That's the story behind that image.
Sure thing. Yeah.
Do you want to break down this image for us?
BJ looking blissfully off into the distance because he doesn't have anything else to do because Guri is very excited. He has taken the starting spot for sure. Aspen reflecting his performance, and Richard's just there. How you doing, Richard?
Richard's just like, oh, I'm meant to be in this photo. It's also really weird how his elbow sticks out behind Taki's ear. It makes Taki look like he's got this really big ear on the right-hand side of his face, but then a small ear on the left-hand side.
That's a condition. Don't talk about it.
True. Right, we're going to be into picks. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Either way, we will be heading into picks and bans shortly for our first game of the series between Team Wells and Saigon Buffalo. Are there any cool champions that you want to see being locked in?
I mean, the rise of Kennen has come back, and Huffman used to be a pretty good Kennen player, so I'm surprised we haven't seen a lot of that for the side
Just don't
of,
do a Yul way,
SGB.
okay?
It hasn't been banned. I don't think. I think it's probably been banned a decent number of times, but it's just I'm still waiting to see that from Hausman. Put some carry threat into the top lane. Give Hausman what he's sort of comfortable on. Guri, I want to see a bit more of that expansion of the jungle pool. He's pulled out the Zac, and that was really cool. I love seeing Zac at every opportunity. But he has mostly fallen back to Gragas, Lee Sin, and then, oh god, what do I play next? It's sort of a pick and mix come from there. So on the side of SGB, I think the top jungle could use a bit of work. I'm pretty interested in seeing where they'll go. Wales, I want to see as most mundane a draft as possible because I think if they try some weird things. They've tried things like the Maokai a lot more as well, but I feel when they try and get away from what they actually are good at, they will struggle immensely. They've done strange things, and it's not worked out for them, so just keep it as simple as possible. Remove those variables because you have enough already.
Was it B who was trying to play, I want to say Caitlyn
Belveth?
support? Belveth support. 2 games of the
Yeah.
Belveth support, 3. He's lost all of them so far. They were fun games to watch, though. And Team Wells are that kind of team, and it's mainly due to having one player, Killer Queen. And it doesn't matter what
Yeah.
kind of draft you pick up. If you have Killer Queen, it's going to be exciting to watch. So you do need to make it a bit mundane, make it a bit boring. So once you add that spiciness of Killer Queen, it becomes, more of a natural draft. We are heading, though, into picks and bans, and Team Wells banning away that Gragas from Guri. Something that I do want to mention, though, is the Talia is open, and we know how good Guri is on that champion.
Yeah, and also how good Froggy is on that champion, right? It's a bit of flex pick for them. Hasn't actually won any games for Froggy, but he's shown good. He's shown proficiency on it in the past. But this is what they really want to do. They need to get a comfortable pick for Xayah, comfortable pick for Vit, so he can be happy and survive this bot lane as well as possible. Varus gets through, which has been a permaban these past few weeks. I didn't even notice that, but that's going to be locked in for sure. And it's kind of dropped in priority on the patch in most other regions, but VCS teams are still scared of this pick. And I mean, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see. It's been a while, and that's an Elise locked in. Okay, interesting.
I'm absolutely loving the Elise locking coming through from Guri. We know he likes his AP junglers. Elise currently has got 2 games on the champion, but Varus and Xayah has been pretty much the staple for both Shogun and Vit, their 2 most played champions. But now with this Caitlyn being locked in for Saigon Buffalo, is this Taki playing Caitlyn support? Is this Varus going mid lane? What's the angle here, Marby?
So AP Varus mid lane's popping up in solo queue, but I don't think it'll be popping up here just yet. I think Caitlyn support is the most realistic, but of course that can flex either way. You can play the Varus in the support position if you want. It's leaning into what Saigon Buffalo, I think, has correctly targeted as the way to win this series. Punish the early bot lane laning phase, try and race that bot laner ahead, and then try to snowball it from there. They're gonna, and that's response Wales targeting these weak side bans, weak side top sides. It's gonna be interesting to see how they pull it out and how Wales responds to it as it goes on.
I think one of the most surprising things, though, about this draft, though, Marby, is the fact that Saigon Buffalo didn't deny the Rakan away from Team Wales, and then Team Wales didn't pick up the Rakan to have this Xayah Rakan lovers duo in the bottom side.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's a specific response to Varus. I would assume so. Just gives a bit more ability to just be tanker and sit on top of Varus's face a little bit more as he, instead of weaving in and out, because those arrows can of course follow you if you try and duck and dive out as Rakan with the battle dance. So if Rocky's going to be playing pick combined with Guri, this is kind of not what you necessarily want to pair an Elise with, because you're sort of doubling up on magic damage. You're sort of providing the same thing to the composition, but a decent blind pick for Nagia comes through, and now Glory's trying to decide what he wants to take into this Ahri. It's going to be the Lissandra, so a lot of pick potential, team fight capability coming out from Wales in that last pick, and this makes a lot of sense past me.
Glory's first Lissandra game as well this split, and Hasmed on the Renekton, and we like to jokingly sometimes call the VCS the Vietnamese crocodile series. We haven't seen too much Renekton in 2023 compared to how much we saw in 22 and 21, but the drafts are now completed, and when you look towards Saigon Buffalo, you see Elise, you see Renekton. This screams some meta from many years ago. We know how aggressive it is. We know it is tried and tested. Every single time these 2 champions are strong.
Yeah, and now you sort of look across at Wales, and I think it's kind of a bit of a sadness for Team Wales that Killer Queen's picked Wukong, because he's not the best, because he kind of has to wait until level 6 before his individual gank potential is fantastic. He has decent setup in the lanes, but top and bot lane, Saigon's gone for win every lane and just full on put the pressure down onto Wales. So if that succeeds, it's going to look fantastic, but it can leave openings if Killer Queen can play it well and find the ways to interrupt the pressure. And if a hook lands onto the Caitlyn support or something, it's just going to be blown up. And it's a very fragile composition that can that can backfire.
And we know that Team Wells with Killer Queen are a team that love to skirmish, and I think particularly every time I watch Team Wales, it always seems that they find a skirmish, and even if it's not the best skirmish for them, somehow Glory appears out of nowhere. It's as if by magic, Glory appears and he says, I'll take this kill, I'll take this kill, I'll take this kill. It feels like nothing except for move to the fight, and then next thing you know, he's 4-0, but he's going up against Froggy, and we know Froggy is the biggest roaming mid laner in the VCS, and alongside Guri on this Elise, I'm fully expecting to see them mobiled, unlocked, and presumably looking towards this top side to get Hasmid rolling on this Renekton.
Yeah, it's kind of quite interesting because the Renekton last pick does sort of mean that it could go either way where Elise wants to go, because you have that top side combo, of course. And of course, the Ahri does this. Of course, again, as I said, the Ahri kind of fulfills the same purpose as the Elise, so you very much might just have Guri hover bot side to just try and make sure that Saigon Buffalo can push with Reckless Abandon, and then just send Froggy to the top lane to have the Charm act as that cocoon. They're looking to try and perhaps bait SGB forward, but it's a bit hard to do, and it's going to be so much pressure early on. This lane is disgusting.
It is going to be disgusting for Saigon Buffalo, but I recall a similar lane matchup where I think it might have been a Caitlyn support, and it was going up against the Nautilus. I can't remember who was playing the Nautilus, but there were some really disgusting dredge lines that ended up landing, and
yes.
I remember calling whoever was playing the support, is this Taki reincarnated as another player, even though it was being played against Taki. And you know me and my bad jokes and how I like to think they're funny.
Yeah, it's gonna. Yeah, as you said, a hook was gonna land, and that's the barrier forced instantly. Taki needs this control, but that is barrier traded for nothing. It's good, off to a good start, but you have to wait for that hook cooldown. You have to wait for SGB to push back up. You can't really fight at level 1 with the Q start, but a level
Killer
1
Queen
game.
spotted out by a ward. B can still throw out the dredge line, but Taki just standing far enough away, and B doesn't want to commit. B, though, did lose a lot of his health bar from that trade, even if Taki did have to burn the exhaust.
Yeah, the barrier gone, and it's a very good ward to just put out the to spot the level 2 gank. It's not too much loss for Killer Queen. He's going to be a little bit behind on the basis of he had to walk the long way around Dragon Pit, but now he's pathing towards the top side, and Guri is pathing bot lane. I don't necessarily know if this has been spotted. Lots of damage onto Vits, but good dredge line to dissuade it.
And Vit just chunked down a little bit low, which is, to be honest, what you expect when you're playing against a double ADC bot lane, especially when Taki has Hail of Blades and Shogun has Arcane Comet. And
this path from Killer Queen, though.
He really wants this bot lane angle.
Yeah, and now Taki's revealed himself.
Oh, he just flashes forward with the auto into the dredge line. Taki forced to flash away the ignite, taking down Killer Queen, making his way over. But in the end, Killer Queen not even needed for the play. And Taki will lose his flash. Shogun will lose his heal.
Yeah, Killer Queen kind of actually, I don't think was necessarily expecting that aggression to come straight out of B. I think it was mostly there to perhaps dissuade the dive, or dissuade the gank from the side of Guri. But they spotted an angle to and burnt a lot of summoners, and burnt a couple of summoners, so now that Caitlyn even more vulnerable, and on the rest of the map, it's going the way of Team Wales pretty okay in the CS.
But that's how we expect this lane matchup to go, right? In isolation, Shogun and Taki are going to get a lot of poke damage down, but if we can find those dredge lines, if they can find that engage to either lock down Shogun or Taki, it gives so much opportunity for Vit just to be able to get a favorable health trade. But Guri has just been able to farm up. Haven't seen this Elise looking for a gank just yet, and B hex flashing into the bush, spotted out by a ward, but in goes Guri, and that's a CC onto Froggy, pardon me, in goes Glory. Froggy flashes away, one more auto would be enough, but Team Wells will be content with just getting Froggy's flash.
Yeah, neither player had the support. Glory hadn't found his way back to pick up an ignite. B spent his on to Taki. This is going to get a good reset out for the side of Glory, though, as top lane, Husband's going to be safe on the tower. But you just see... Okay, maybe he's not. Maybe he's not safe on the tower. Okay, that changes everything. That It's not meant to go that way. Jax is not meant to be winning that hard.
that damage was illegal. It was almost like he already had his
He's
shield.
He's not even level 6. He didn't even have the burst from the ultimate. So, goddamn. Nagia, we talked him up at the start. He's on a rise. Hasmed sort of in a slump. He was getting better, but Nagia's just apparently too damn good. Speed's playing with a Hex Flash.
Can we just take a look at how much damage the empowered the W auto did? Because
yeah, and it goes
that was
through the flash.
150.
And it actually goes through despite the flash from Hasmed. So now, if Killer Queen wants to make his way up there, there's a Sheen on Nagia. There's still a flash available to set up the flash counter-strike. Hasmed has to play super safe right now, but of course, the real focus of this game is bot lane. So all the junglers both just lurking, hovering around this bot side. SGB trying to freeze it right now. It's going to... They're playing... Oh,
Dredgeline flashed away by Shogun, and now both flashes down for the Saigon Buffalo bottom lane. While this is going on, Guri has started up on the Drake, and Killer Queen has wormed his way into the bottom lane, and B can look for another potential engage.
Yeah, I think when you kind of walked into the bush and showed Killer Queen backing, but it will just be the first dragon. It's a chem tech Drake. It's not the biggest prize, but it's a good to get your Drake stacking. But Nagia is just okay. I can just proxy now. He's fine. He's having a great time. This could give an opportunity for Elise currently making her way to the top side to find a pincer, as that control ward in the bush is not going to be spotted.
I think Glory has fire in the mid lane right now, so can work his way up if Nagia requires support, and I don't think that ward made its way into the bush.
Didn't quite, but Nagia is now in a spot where if Guri steps out of line, there's now... Everyone's making their way up for the Rift Herald.
Glory being caught, but B and Killer Queen are here. Self-ult casted by Glory. Over the wall comes Guri, and now Nagia is making his way over, jumps forward with a counter-strike. Glory over the wall, out to safety. But so much damage onto Taki, and Nagia will get his second kill of the game.
It's actually so insane that only one kill goes down. There were so many setups, but everybody had summoners available except for Taki and Shogun. So with that victory, with how much damage they did to health, that's going to be Team Wales pretty happily in control of this jungle. Killqueen's not going to look to try and execute Guri, but he will try and take a red buff away.
Does Guri want to fight this? Hasmed is going to make his way up. Nagia is relatively far away. Smite is available for Killer Queen. In he goes. Is able to steal the red buff. And Guri has to skittle their way over to the crowd. How do you
skedaddle, regardless.
Skedaddle. No, it's like how a spider walk.
Probably a skitter, I think.
It's skitter, yes. Yes. Yeah. That's why Skittering Frenzy is the, Elise W, I think it is.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. I'm not quite sure which form W, but yes. Spiderful, thank you to our release expert on production.
Yeah. You know, Spoots is producing. We've got an Elise game. It's happy Spoots time.
Yeah, and also, I thought potentially there could be an ankle hot. Never mind.
Oh, the dredge line beautifully timed through the charm, and the damage comes through onto Froggy. Doesn't have to burn his flash. Lissandra doesn't quite have enough burst damage to put Froggy under too much pressure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with the sort of late resets coming out from Team Wales, I didn't actually know if they were going to be able to grab this Rift Herald, but they come back into the map. Killer Queen is going to go straight there and grab it. This is going to be spotted out. Gloria is going to be spotted, but it should mean there's no dive coming through. Never mind, they've seen them leave. Guri looking for... Doesn't have a flash, so this is going to be a little bit...
Froggy is making his way down as well. Ace in the hole tanked up so much damage on it to B. Flashes away, aggressively played by Guri.
Oh, now here's Froggy.
Finding kite back, has a Featherstorm, has the blade follow with a flash, pulls one back, but Froggy will make it 2 for 1.
They had no business getting a kill there. There's no wave to finish down the turret, so it's going to be a 2 for 1 overall, but that's 4 members committed to the bot side. Glory unfortunately kind of had that earlier roam, so he can't punish mid. But that's a good response from the bot lane of Team Wales. They play that out extremely well, and it lets the solo laners get a bit of time to themselves to wail on these turrets. Not quite being able to get that plate is Glory.
I see what you did there, Marby. Wail on these.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You know how I have to work. If you don't want to be cringe, I have to find a way to make your non-cringe cringe. However, what is kind of surprising is the fact that Saigon Buffalo are still rather even in gold, and I think that's courtesy of picking up a couple of tower plates in the bottom side. I think, though, a large portion of the goalie that Team Wales has is probably just sitting on Nagia's Jax, which I guess means it's not too useful for Team Wales when they want to skirmish around the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, Nagia's got a little bit. Glory's found a little bit as well with picking up that assist, picking up a lot of CS. Okay, Bear.
Dredge line, a lot of damage. Pop goes Shogun, and it's still a 2v2, although Vit is very low, needs to back away. Saigon Buffalo, rather surprisingly, don't want to
hello, Glory!
And that's because Glory's making his way down. As is Killer Queen, there's a Rift Herald as well. The ult down, and this is the dive and a half from Team Wales. Glory tanks the tower shot. Killer Queen tanks another. Team Wales, 3 kills. Beautifully done.
The juggling is beautiful, and with the Rift Herald, Killer Queen can sort of walk his way out there. Gonna see if Froggy can find any exit kills on his way down, but I think the recalls have come in a bit too fast. Though Killer Queen is late on his. Does Froggy find him? Service. We're not gonna find out. But this
we get a replay instead.
This is the second half. Guri avoids the first round of the ult, but it doesn't put it on cooldown. What goes up must come down, and Killer Queen is able to convert on the backside, get a good 2-man cyclone. Killer Queen seems to have gotten away okay. Dragon will be there as a punish onto the reset timers, but Glory's lurking. Nagia is... Oh no, Nagia's on the map. His Pog was hidden. But it's going to be a Dragon. That's alright for Saigon Buffalo. You're continuing to get that stack. You still have that potential win condition in pocket. It's a good Dragon Soul to help you if you manage to bring it back, but this bot lane has not gotten the advantage it's wanted. It's a full Gale Force completed for Vit now, having picked up 3 kills, and Shogun's still trying to piece together his mythic. Had to stop off for a tier and some boots first, but it's not the pressure they wanted. It's not how the game plan was meant to go.
And let's not forget, this is Shogun trying to complete his first item. That's a lethality item, whereas Vit has a crit item, which is worth more gold anyway. So this is a very good spot for Vit, although he doesn't have his tier 2 boots completed. But with that Gale Force, that's a lot of damage that can now be coming through from the Team Wales ADC. And this, again, is reminding me of that last time Saigon Buffalo tried to play with this dual ADC bot lane. It just didn't quite work out. Taki ending up taking too much damage, Glory with a very nice sidestep off the charm, and then just takes a glacial path over the wall and out.
Okay, but now Taki might have stepped too far forward. Hex Flash from B.
Depth charge, guaranteed knockup, guaranteed follow-up from Team Wales. Killer Queen flashing forward, and Team Wales are not taking any prisoners. Looking towards Froggy, Guri jumps up, and now Froggy turns onto Killer Queen, tries to get over the wall, but Froggy gets the kill. A 1-for-1 in the river. Dredge line, though, straight onto a trap, into the chains of corruption, piercing arrow as well, and surely B will fall. Good Dredge line. Harsmed, though, able to follow up on the play and pick up the second kill for Saigon Buffalo in the fight.
Yeah, they couldn't quite get the execute onto Guri, and Harsmed makes the roam first. It leads Killer Queen in a position where he's overextended. The trap placed earlier by Taki secures the kill onto B, who didn't actually have his full proper flash at that time. So it backfires. This starts off really well. It's a good read to just get on top of Taki and kill him, but then Killer Queen gets a little bit greedy, and they find what looks like a decent angle, but with the repel, they can't get the execute. Glory abandons ship a bit too early. I think he saw the TP coming in, and this is just unlucky for B. If that trap's not there, he probably finds he might not find a way out given the position of Shogun and the ability to hit that Chains Corruption, but yeah. It's a bit of an unlucky. Bit of a good teleport from Harsmed, bit of a unfortunate you can't kill the spider.
And with that, it is still a 2k goal lead for the side of Team Wales, so they do have control over the game in terms of goal. But it is Saigon Buffalo with 2 Drakes, and they could be making their way onto Soul Point soon as well. Yomu's now completed for Shogun, and Blade completed for Taki. And this is something that I always like to mention whenever you've got these teams that are strong early on, as well, mid lane versus ADC. Mid lane is going to tend to come out on top, and Froggy says, thank you very much. Picks up his 3rd kill of the game.
Yeah, that's still worth it for Vit. He got the first Brit gold. He managed to pick that up, but it is a shutdown going over to Ari, which is not ideal. Not ideal for Team Wales by any means. It also means you're 4v5 on the map, because Froggy has that teleport. You should probably just let this one go, but okay.
Team Wales won the play. Killer Queen into the backline, and it's a 3-man stun from Nagia. Hasmed locked down. Glory casts herself up. The charm will not land onto Glory. The repel from Guri, but back down into the meat grinder. 3 kills for Team Wales.
Guri tries to go back in and pick up Glory, but he can't do it, so it's going to be a Rift Tower for SGB, but that's a huge team fight win. That's without Vit. Vit wasn't there. Vit was dead. He's only now making his way to mid lane. Froggy's got the wave cleared to keep the turret alive, so they can't convert an objective, but it's still more and more gold. Yeah, Vit's on half health, and Vit just says, I'm getting this tower. I can't do anything. I'm going to get a tower.
To be fair, he did a fair bit of damage on to Froggy, and if he wasn't in a 1v2 with the second member of Saigon Buffalo being that tower that Vit was very desperate to kill, it might have gone slightly differently. Tower picked up in the top lane as well. Yeah.
Also, if he wasn't half health to begin with, he might have actually looked to invest the flash and try and outplay, but says, no, there's no hope, there's no chance, I'm just going to take what I can get. Rift Herald will now be dropped. Teleport coming in from Glory. Should just defend the play, and with Dragon spawning, that's a bit of pressure. SGB might have been hoping to use a little bit better, use a little bit cleaner. Ultimates up, nope.
Nagia says, I want to say that. Dredgeline comes through, and that is so much damage to Hasmed. Able to keep himself alive, though, with the Iron Spike Whip. And now Team Wales being forced away. Froggy fishing for a charm, narrowly misses out on Glory. Both teams just going to duke it out in the mid lane once more, but it is Saigon Buffalo now with pressure and map control for this Drake.
Yeah, that's Glory's ultimate down. That's Nagia's ultimate down. Hasmed didn't actually have to blow his Dominus, so Team Wales kind of in a disadvantage in the fight right now. They also taken a decent amount of damage across the board. Glory can't teleport back and either, so Team Wales going to try and play for pressure in the mid lane, trying to stall this Dragon so Glory can get back. Actually, he's not even going to reset. He just can't. So this is a good spot for SGB. Team Wales, I would recommend maybe trying to go for the steal, but you can't look for the fight afterwards.
Really good charm, though, lands onto B, and B has been instantly popped straight away. But in goes Glory, who's the focus on? He's looking towards Taki. Taki knocked up, flashes over a wall. Glory in pursuit, but Hasmed in pursuit of Glory.
Oh, no!
2v3, great piercing arrow snipe from Shogun. Killer Queen on the chase, are looking for some juicy spider, but it's forced back away. Saigon Buffalo win the fight, 3 kills to 2, but the Drake is still on the table.
Yeah, and that's good news for the side of Team Wales. They managed to delay the Dragon, and the fight is pretty even, so it's not the end of the world. That's actually a win for Team Wales, given their positioning, given their ultimate deficit. Just that fadeaway arrow from Shogun picking up Vit, though, if that hadn't come through, it would have been a really great fight for Wales. But now there's a Bloodthirster completed for Vit to stand up against this poke, and this starts off with B just kind of getting caught, not respecting the pick potential of the tools, and there's no Lissandra ultimate, and they commit so much engage onto just Taki that this sort of just is a bit of a disaster.
A moment? I want to take a moment to really praise Vit, because so often you see ADCs being very passive. Vit dived in, super aggressive with the Gale Force, Flash Blade called it really early on to get a kill. Unlucky to get sniped by Shogun at the end of the play, but I'm loving the aggression that we're seeing from the Team Wales ADC.
Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes down to the second part of the fight, but okay, Glory's gonna put that on
goes Glory, finds Starkey, and now it's Guri who gets a burst down. B is still alive, but 1-for-1 as Nagia falls, cleanse from Vit to keep himself alive. Froggy, though, still with 3 charges on the Spirit Rush, fishing for a play, can't find the charm onto B. Team Wales now on the back foot, B getting chunked down, piercing arrow, good dredge line, the turn onto Froggy, is there enough feathers there from Bit? The final one comes through, Husband gets on to the back line, 5-2 kills, shut down for Shogun, and Killer Queen is on the run, burning down, will be able to survive, but Saigon Buffalo find themselves a 4 kills for 3, and they will be able to find themselves their 3rd Drake of the game.
Yeah, they don't have the ability to deal with Husband. There's a lot of healing coming through. Their target priority is split, and okay, now Nakia wants some exit kills, but he's gonna find a trap instead. Okay, he's gonna
over the wall searching for
Nakia!
instantly by the cocoon. Someone tell Nagia that he's not Killer Queen.
Okay, look, I'm gonna have to see if Nagia has Merchants, because he bloody needs them. This starts off as a good start from Wales. They immediately delete the jungler, but Nagia unfortunately ends up jumping straight into the Chains of Corruption and pops immediately, and that is so much of Wales' gold. Froggy still has the ability to re-engage, start up the fight, the Hex Tech Dragon keeping B slowed, and all this damage. Look at how much Harsman gets off of this health back. He gets the stun onto Vit. Vit can't do anything. Sort of a bare skin luck that Killer Queen gets away, but so close, just edges, and it's a soul point for SGB. That's their way back into it. Team Wales has to be a lot cleaner around these objectives next time, but there's so much CC, there's so many pick tools that they have to be wary of that Saigon Buffalo can always fight.
This is the VCS, we call it the Vietnamese Crocodile Series for a reason. Harsmed on the croc and showing just how impactful it can be, even if it doesn't get that early lead. If it can get onto the backline, get on top of Vit when Vit doesn't have a Featherstorm available, it can spell disaster. Dredge line from B, sadly just a little bit wide of Harsmed. And right now a 2k goal lead for the side of Team Wales, but Saigon Buffalo getting pressure on the top side river. They want to be setting up for this Baron Nashor.
Yeah, and there's not really a response coming out from the side of Team Wales. They're not controlling the side lanes particularly well. They're not setting up and trying to pull Buffalo around the map. Buffalo are just getting to group up as 5 and force the issue. Now it's even harder. You need to find a way to pop that Banshee's Veil on Froggy, but you don't have any fantastic way to do it. You're kind of hoping one of the Qs from Vit will tag it and remove it, but make your so stunted, because I'm starting to feel as the time goes on, Froggy is the one you need to blow up. That's almost your consistent damage dealer as the Ari darts in and out of the fight, throwing the Qs, throwing the Spirit Rushes. Shogun's kind of just got one arrow.
And Froggy trying to find these setups for plays with an Everfrost, with the Charm, Banshee's Veil for some extra protection. And it's so hard to get on top of Froggy. Also want to point out as well, Vit going for a Bloodthirster second item, not going for the Navori Quick Blades that we so often see. And I'm guessing that's Vit just saying he's getting bursted down. He needs to find some way to sustain through these team fights.
There's a ton of burst, there's a ton of poke coming up from Shogun. It makes a lot of sense to get this early Bloodthirster. Now he's getting the Quick Blades, just delaying it to 3rd. It's not the end of the world but at all, so now we just need to see, can B start up the fight? Can B find the target? Froggy? If he walks into Glory, that can spell a disaster.
What if Taki walks into Glory?
Well, Taki should reasonably just die, but also Glory hasn't built the most damage in the world. He also doesn't have damage in his runes going for the whatever it's called, the Unsealed Spellbook. But he also hasn't ever changed that summoner spell from teleport, so now I'm really annoyed I'm annoyed he's going for that. just take the electrocute. If you're not going to keep hot swapping, picking up ignites and some mites and things, but it's just posturing. But Team Wales are too scared to really try and make pressure happen with the Jace. Jace is building for team fight.
Everfrost not going to land, neither will the Charm. Now a teleport coming through, and Glory wants the engage, flashes forward, finds a 2-man Everfrost, stretch line comes through, 1-for-1 so far. Nagia into the backline, down goes Shogun, and Vit is just free firing the feathers! 2 kills for 1, Team Wales come out on top, they pull the trigger. And with a Drake up in 1 minute time, Saigon Buffalo should be able to reset, but Team Wales are going to eye up the Baron Nashor first.
Yeah, Team Wales going to try and pick this up. Can Buffalo do much to stop it? They have a full health Caitlyn, but it's a support Caitlyn, so probably can't threaten all that much. Maybe they can try and delay it. Maybe they can try and trap them in the pit. They're going for it.
Hazmed
Or maybe they're
just a
just
little
trying...
bit too late. I was wondering if he'd just jump over the wall for a play.
Yeah, I guess the hope is to try and force them out and delay their resets as much as possible, so you get prime position on the Baron. But doesn't happen in this fight. We see just there's so much dive onto the side of Shogun. He gets the lead instantly. Glory pays for it, not quite able to pull out the triple stasis by any means. So still has that means they still have the stopwatch for this fight. Froggy kind of poking forward.
Has Froggy gone too far forward? Killer Queen stepping forward. Froggy
Killer
forced
Queen
to spirit rush over the wall. Chains of Corruption now landing on it to Glory. Ace in the hole as well. But it is Killer Queen who has been chunked down so low. Needs to find a way to heal up. Same for Glory as well. But Froggy has used this spirit rush. That is a very important cooldown that is gone for Saigon Buffalo.
Oh no, Killer Queen, you have to be so careful. You can't be the one poking your head in. You need to be here for the dragon. Glory has reset. He's gonna try and walk his way in instead of teleporting. Killer Queen also can make this trek a little bit quicker with the Hextech gates, but if they show that if they sort of spot that Killer Queen isn't in the area, this dragon should just be instant for Saigon. Glory's in the wrong position on the mid lane.
But Glory looking for a flank angle though.
The flank. No, he was just clearing wave, but the threat of the flank was enough to make SGB sort of turn away.
Nagia and B, they're going so far into the backline, searching for this flank angle. The rest of the team slowly making their way over. Froggy finds a two-man Everfrost. Chains of Corruption lands onto B, who is now on the run. Nagia is going to tank the ace in the hole as Team Wales start to back away. But it is the Wales who now have control over the river. They got the bot lane pushing on in, and it's all this fight over. Actually, the Drake's already been taken, so Team Wales have denied that soul from Saigon Buffalo. I didn't even see that being secured. Yeah,
Nagira and B are apparently just tanky enough to be able to put the threat down and give the space for Killer Queen and Vit to take the dragon. Vit is a quiet 8-4. He's quietly picked up 8 kills. He's died a few times, but 8 kills on a Zyra is definitely nothing to be snuffed at, and if he can get up in close in these fights, which could be difficult given how much threat SGB has and how much threat range they have, he can put out a lot of damage and absolutely carry the fights. He just needs to be given the ability to get in close with that Gale Force, with those Quick Blades, and tear through with that W. But now Buffalo, we still see the strength that they had, despite the fact they've pretty much had this 3k gold lead for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes now. They still just have so much control over this map, over zones, that Team Wales have to play super cautiously and pretty much wait for Buffalo missteps to actually make plays.
Good charm on to be from Froggy. Lands the Everfrost as well. Dredgeline comes through. What can Vit do to keep his support alive? And the answer is not really much. Guri over the wall, though, right into the waiting arms of Glory, who casts the ult onto Guri. Guri will be able to stay alive. Ace in the hole just to dissuade Team Wales from aggressing any further, but it won't dissuade Killer Queen because it's Killer Queen. Of course he's going to go in, and Vit Gale forces forward to secure the kill.
You know what? Killer Queen is also going to take the blue buff because he earned that everything. He earns it. Glory's kind of sitting here molding, but because he really wanted that, but we kind of saw there. Yeah, Guri felt safe. We saw the ultimate get used. Glory does not have enough burst damage what's it called? Shadow Flame. That's going to be coming through shortly. Could be. No, it's Shadow Flame. It's the needlessly large rod. So eventually, Lissandra's going to be start hitting like a truck instead of simply being a nuisance and an annoyance. But still, it's been a pretty good game from the top half of Wales so far. Nagia could work to apply the side lane a little bit more. Could try and apply this pressure because that Baron kind of got them that dragon and 1 towers, which is not really enough for Team Wales to bring it home.
Team Wales, they want to say, we are the dominant water species. We will murder all crocodiles. 2-on-1, surely not much Hazmed can do. Guri, though, is making his way over, and Pop will go. Hazmed doesn't even use the flash, and now Guri has walked himself into a world of hurt, a world of pain. Drops down. Glory was forced to take the path out to safety, but Guri will fall 2-for-1 in favor of Team Wells, though they are now on the back foot. Froggy charging forward, lands the charm, instantly cleansed though by Bit, turning it around onto Froggy, and almost gets the kill. One more auto would have been enough, and all the while Nagia just split pushing in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Nagia apparently heard me, and that's how Team Wales played that out. They played it really close. Glory and B kind of playing with fire there, B pushing very aggressively in, Glory going forward on very low health, but Vit is the hero there. They aren't able to pick up the inhibitor, but that's still more golds, more pressure for the Jax. We're gonna have to see where that converts into. I'm expecting probably a Guardian Angel next. Have to see how far away he is from that, and this Jax is just continuing to build up to be a big team fight menace to dive onto Shogun and ruin this backline of SGB.
Now a 5k goal lead for Team Wales. Saigon Buffalo, though, are still on Hextech Soul point. If they can get that Hextech Soul with champions like Froggy on this Ahri, a Varus, a Caitlyn, that can be an incredibly powerful soul. But again, Nagia is getting stronger and stronger. Hullbreaker completed for Nagia. He really heard you, Marvy, and now Nagia is saying, look, I'm strong enough to work in the side lane. If I go in the side lane as a Jax with 3 items, nobody is able to match me, even if they come as 2.
Yeah, I see that, but I feel like Team Wales' main avenue has been team fighting, and we're gonna see another one happen around this Baron. I feel like Saigon Buffalo should kind of just concede this, delay it as much as possible. Okay, Jax.
Into the backline goes Team Wales, trying to force Shogun away, and they do exactly that. Team Wales are winning this fight, and yes, some of their health bars are low. Great snipe from Shogun. Man. 2 for 2, and now Glory is going to be taking the brunt of the damage. Ace in the hole, not enough to get the kill. But it is still Team Wales who have control over the river. They're not going to be able to get the Baron. And as you mentioned, just a little bit too aggressive. Maybe Froggy's been too aggressive. Great dead dredge line from B. Out comes the Feather Storm Blade Caller with the Gale Force. Not enough from Vit to reposition and find the kill onto Froggy. So it will remain just as a 2 for 2.
But the health is in the side of SGB, and there's a dragon on the table. This was a terrible misstep from Team Wales. This is going to be a soul for Saigon Buffalo, and it's going to make these team fights that have already been so close time and time again even more Buffalo tilted. This is going to be it. This might be where they've made the mistake, where Team Wales oversteps. Nagia not able to have that impact. And we see what happens. It's the misdredge line, and it starts off trying to go onto Shogun, but the flash is good, and there's still just so much CC. They can't get on top of the Varus. They can't get on top of the Ahri. There's just so much in the way. Sure, they kill Nagia. Sure, they kill the Elise, but that doesn't matter. They blow everything trying in. Shogun and Froggy get away. You don't have a second charge to follow up on these retreating members. You have to kill them instantly. And since you failed, you lose the fight.
Saigon Buffalo now with Sold. They do have a slight goal deficit, but they are looking for the Baron, and that Baron might be enough to bring them back into goal lead for the first time this game. But keep your eyes on Nagia in the side lane with that Hullbreaker. He's no longer going to be a team fight menace. He is the split push menace, and I don't think this Renekton in the late game is going to have any answer whatsoever for Nagia's Jax.
No, definitely not up against the exposed inhib. That's a gimme for the Jax, but it's still not enough. I'm looking at this mid lane tower that needs to die. That has been a huge source of SGB's continued success. That safety in the mid lane, that ability to rotate quicker through this lane, through this valley in the middle, that needs to fall. Team Wales need to get it down, but they can't find the angle. They don't have the ability to outpush Saigon Buffalo without the Baron, because Varus is kind of stupid. That's almost probably one of the reasons it's been banned for so long. It kills so much momentum, so much ability to siege. Froggy's been looking for something. He's going to find a Glory, but Poke just continues to win out for SGB, and it makes Team Wales' life so damn hard. So they're going to keep trying to do something with Jax, maybe. So the 1v1 begins the top side.
I think Nagia's
Looks
job
like Jack's
right
lost.
now is just to keep Harsmid out of the team fight, and Team Wales just
here's
continuing
Froggy.
to posture over the Baron Nash, and now Froggy showing in the bottom side. Team Wales are going to say, right, well, this is our opportunity to take the Baron Nash, locked down by the Everfrost. How does Nagia play this? Jumps over the wall. Froggy will jump in pursuit. Is this Jax mobile enough? Can he dodge out on the charge? Flashing forward, is that enough damage? One more! No! He gets the kill. Husband will turn it into 1-for-1, but it is still the kill. And Team Wales get themselves the Baron Nashor as well.
All right, Glory went down in the process. Baron Nashor for the side of Team Wales, but now there's pressure for Saigon Buffalo. They're going to try and push down the mid lane as best they can, try and break another tower, try and dampen what Team Wales can do. Vit's here to defend it, but this tower should be dead. And with 3 people here, they might just run down Vit.
Slow. Gale Force enough to get Vit out of range of the chains of corruption.
Killer Queen!
He's hovering around. Killer Queen just went
Come back!
the inner tower. He thought Vit would be enough to
Stop
keep
doing
the
Krugs!
base alive. And in the end, Saigon Buffalo, they get an inhibitor tower and they get an inhibitor as well. And let's see exactly how Glory died.
Why was he doing Krugs? I'm apparently not allowed to see. I'm getting a blank.
No, we're not allowed to see. We just want to see that beautifully airborne Nautilus. It does look, it looks great. I never realized the Nautilus could fly.
Yeah, no, he's high in the sky, looking fantastic. As yeah, I'm not sure if this is what the
So, Bobby,
what the stream is seeing, but
Bobby,
we're just looking at the Baron.
What's the weather like in Australia right now?
Not bad. So I'm gonna actually have to cast sort of on a weird delay because
Are you getting up the actual YouTube stream now?
No, our Discord stream is frozen, but it's still going fine for the regular stream.
Spoots. Maybe his graphics card died again. Oh, I see Spoots typing. Oh, we're back. We're back. We've got a fight happening. Jumping into the backline and someone I don't know who it is because it's a bit blurry. It's Nagia, and he finds the kill on Shogun.
Froggy's dead.
Still alive for the side of Team Wales. They're looking for more. Harswood will slice his way over the wall. 2 kills for 1 in favor of Team Wales.
Those are the ones they needed to kill. They've got Baron buff. They've got a super minion wave. They're going to try and end right here. Vit's going to go hard onto Harsmid. Can't find the kill.
And they still have a Baron buff as well. Can Guri keep this wave going? Lands a good stun on to Killer Queen, but in comes Team Wales. They want the kill. They'll get a Guardian Angel. They'll get a kill. And there's not anything that Taki can do by himself. Forced away from his base, the Nexus will fall, and Team Wales are 1 game away from playoffs.
Yeah, we kind of missed a little bit at the end there, but they found the targets they needed. They killed Shogun, they killed Froggy, and then SGB could not hold the line. The Baron was enough to break the siege, break that wave clear, and Wales find a huge game 1 victory. Can they repeat a second one? A 2-0 locks them into playoff. It locks our whole playoffs race out then and there. Or can Buffalo fight back and keep themselves in it?
Well, a great game from both teams. Saigon Buffalo getting the soul. Actually, did they get the soul? Yes, they did get the soul, but not quite enough to bring them back into the game. Game 2, I'm sure it's going to be just as exciting as that first game. We're going to be heading into a short break, and when we return, we'll be bringing you Game 2 between Team Wales and Saigon Buffalo.
salvation. Those flags you wave will represent them. The world is watching. Here's your judgment. Here's your reckoning. Write your story down.
Welcome back, everyone. Game 1 between Saigon Buffalo and Team Wales has drawn to a close, with Team Wales taking the win, which means, if you guys have been paying attention, Team Wales just need to win their next game, and we have our 4 teams for playoffs locked in.
Yeah, and for the side of Buffalo, they need to win one. Even if they lose the next one. If tiebreaker rules are still the same as last splits, they might not be. They need one more win to keep their playoff hope. They need one win, even if they lose the series, to keep the playoff hopes alive. And I mean, after that first game, it definitely seems like they could. They played it super close, right? They managed to have good objective control. They ended up with the soul and were playing close team fights from a deficit the entire time. A little bit of that was how the compositions worked out and interacted, but they played their comps well. They played to their win conditions for the most part, and even though they couldn't turn it around, they kept it super close until the end.
With that said, what would you like to see Saigon Buffalo doing differently for Game 2? Because Game 1 wasn't a disaster by any stretch. They looked like they were in the game for pretty much the entirety of it. But if they could tweak one or two things, what would you like to see them switch up?
I think come into the present day, that was a very 13.1 draft, right? You have the Elise, who was Giga Broken on 13.1. You have the Caitlyn support and Varus combo. That draft was like 10 out of 10, 13 for 13.1. As Milky leaves. And we've moved away from that. We've moved back more into a bit more of an engage option in the bot lane, the ability to start fights properly, the ability to a bit more of a beefier jungler, usually a bit more of a still a playmaker like the Elise, but something that will scale into the mid to late game a little bit better. Your Lee Sin, your Gragas, your Wukong, for example. I think it was fine, but yeah, I think just update a little bit, bring back in more in line with standard meta. You tried throwing it all at the wall, it didn't quite stick, but it left a nasty imprint. So if you throw something a bit more normal at the wall, maybe this one will stick.
You know, something that you could throw that has a lot of weight and a lot of gravitas? Aurelian Soul. Or a Malphite, yeah. Malphite works as well. Malphite, Azor. I'll take both of them.
Yeah, it is 13.6 quite likely, so Aurelian got nerfed a little bit, and we didn't really see him at all on 13.5 anyway.
See, this is the thing, right? Everyone's been telling me, oh, Milky, Aurelian Soul's been nerfed, Aurelian Soul's been nerfed. Every single time I go into a game on League of Legends after the nerfs, and an Azor happens to get through the draft, it's like 0-4, it's doing nothing. Next thing I know, it's 10-4 just getting killed because it is so stupid as a champion. I thought Yuumi was bad.
Correct, but consider this is professional League of Legends. It is not gold rank solo queue.
But consider this, it's Glory playing and Froggy, and they both somehow managed to get kills from roaming all the time, and Azor fits perfectly in with how they want to play. Okay, maybe not perfectly, but very well.
You'd think, you would, I do agree that it's surprising we've seen no Aurelian Soul. We saw a mishap where he was picked once, but there was a bug involved, so that had to be remade, and no one's touched him since. I'm not sure why, but no one's gone for Aurelian Soul. People have gone for the Malphite. Malphite has been great. And what also on this patch, that sort of fits the theme of Aurelian's, what you're sort of vibing on Aurelian Soul on the roaming, is Galio. That got buffed. That was banned by Wales in that first rotation last game. It's a Froggy classic. Maybe we see that for game 2 if it doesn't hit the bench again.
Well, so far we've got Glory's Tristana and Annie banned away. Team Wales banning away some of these facilitating junglers from Guri.
Yeah, gonna pick up these two big sort of frontliner junglers that he tends to have to play. I know it's AP Gragas in the jungle, but he's still a big boy with that W damage reduction. Have to see how they round it out. Last time they went for the Galio, this time they're going for the Varus. They managed to play it okay, but they just decide it's just a bit too much of a nuisance to deal with in the team fights and made their life a bit too hard. So going to ban that away and Shogun on Zeri. I guess they're going for they want that fail-safe win condition in the late game.
And one thing we know is that Zeri will scale so far. Currently, Shogun with 3 Zeri games this split, and he has not lost a single one of them. Team Wells, though, are looking to answer with a jungle pick, and once again, it's looking like it's going to be Killer Queen, not Kaguya. Killer Queen on the Wukong.
Yeah, Wukong, once again, it's the most obvious pick. That's the sort of jungle everybody's after. I want to see how they round it out. I imagine the Xayah lock-in comes in pretty soon from it, though they can leave it to 3 because they already know it's going to be Zeri.
Could they pick the Rakan here then? So that the Rakan can't get denied, or is Saigon Buffalo probably just going to go for a Lulu anyway?
Quite possibly. I wouldn't... There you go, it's Rakan. I imagine the Lulu might come through, but it could also just be the Nautilus as a response to try and counter Rakan. Somewhat Thresh also a pretty good pick into Rakan, and maybe provide some extra safety to the Zeri, but she doesn't necessarily need it. That champion is already way too safe to be healthy. But Renata, it's a fantastic pick. It works super well against the dive. And Guriel locking his Lee Sin, which is a lot more in line with what I was expecting to come out from him. It's gonna take, they could go back to Ahri, because Froggy's had good Ahri performances and lets them sort of have that sort of pseudo engage come out from the mid lane where Froggy likes to thrive.
I feel like this Ahri for Froggy has been one of his best champions this split. He's been super consistent with it, and even if he hasn't had a great win rate, I think it's at something like 35% now, he's always looked so impactful and looked like a player on that champion that can always turn a game around, even if sometimes it doesn't quite work out.
This sort of is the price you do have to pay, though. You lock in that mid lane early, you get to throw backhands at Guri, but you're gonna have to dig a lot deeper as Guri. Does not have, he's got a decently wide champion pool in some respects, but he's only shown real depth. He's sort of bounced back to Lee Sin and Gragas more often than not, and with those two banned, where is he likely to go? It feels like Talia would be a mismatch on this team, just on the damage profile alone, but they've decided once again they want to make sure Nagira is uncomfortable the top side with a blind pick. But you can always save it. They know it's going to be Froggy on the Ahri, so you just lock in your Vega or your Lissandra or whatever Gory wants to play, and you still get counterpick for top lane, so you kind of just denied yourself getting a good Malphite, I think, if you're Waffler.
I do like a little bit of Talia coming in for Glory. Currently lossless on the champion from 2 games, and it does mean that Team Wells are saving their counter pick for the top side, and maybe we could even see something like the Cassante returning. I was casting a little bit of the EMEA Masters yesterday. A lot of tanks with the likes of Sion, Cho'Gath coming through, but Saigon Buffalo will pick themselves up a Gwen in the top lane.
Yeah, okay, this has been good for Hasmet, but it's usually worked as a counter pick. And I mean, Gwen doesn't have any amazing counters, so you kind of see maybe Nagia to struggle, but Jax would have been nice, but that did get banned, so it's looking to be this chase. I don't love it. I don't particularly think it's a great matchup for this in this top side, but I guess we're sort of seeing a somewhat of a reverse of last game with Team Wales trying to play a lot more towards the early game, and with a Viego and a Zeri, it's just Buffalo waiting till late game.
And not just Zeri, but the Gwen as well is going to be extremely impressive towards the latter stages of this game. But Team Wells have a lot of rotation opportunities and a lot of ways to cut members of Saigon Buffalo out from team fights, courtesy of the Weaver's Wall for Glory. But I'm very interested to see this Jace. It feels like the last time I actually casted a Jace game might have been when, I want to almost say when Coated was playing for Burst the Sky.
Interesting, because you never did.
Oh, sorry, not for Wait, it was
Like for
for luxury. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was either luxury who were or who became Team Wells, I should say.
Yeah. It's been a hot minute, I must say. Well, actually, it hasn't been that hot minute yet, but you've been sort of missing for a lot of the split.
I've missed a lot of the Jace games.
You've missed.
I've been unlucky.
So the Jace games have eluded you, but we've seen a lot of it. It's not it's not the most impressive. I don't think it's the most impressive win rate, especially in that top lane.
It is for Nagia.
Check to confirm that. Oh,
Nagia, how many games do you think Nagia has on Jace?
This split or over or all time?
This split. I can check all time as well.
He hasn't played it at all this split.
He has played it this split.
What? Oh, okay. Apparently he's played it once.
Yo, that's cheating. You can't go and check the stats when I ask you the question, Marby.
That's the thing. I already had it open. I just missed Jace's generic white blade face in the lineup. So
yeah,
he was just so unimpressive looking.
He's played it once. 1 win on the champion. He's got 5 career games on the champion, and he's won 2 of those 5. So he had a 1 in 4 success rate before this split.
Yeah, well, there's been a few changes. Not too many, actually not that many changes to Jace as an individual, but the meta around him has shifted a good amount. Some item setups have changed, but it's not going to be anything particularly fancy. The Gore Drinker flotation for Jace seems to have pretty much dried up. We're just going on without the Omnivamp on the Eclipse. Gonna see where Team Wales wants to go with this from here. It's gonna be a very basic start. Coles, so not expecting too much action between these bottom laners. Gonna see for sure how that wants to actually play it out with his level 1 rank up. Currently not showing anything, so I think he's probably started the W in case a fight does break out. Can do a lot of damage in that 2v2. Jungler starting both on the bot side. This gives a small advantage to Guri if he wants to try and make that level 3 gank with the red buff, but
I think that was one of the most useless sweepers I ever saw from Taki because the war was about to time out in a few seconds. Very nice handshake from Taki on Divit, but Shogun can't really follow up. True, a little bit of gold that went Taki's way. 25 gold? Or 25 gold to Shogun, I guess?
You get 5 gold for hitting it. You get the 10 for clearing the trinket wards. So just a smidgen of gold. It's nice to have in pocket. But both junglers going to be pathing towards the top side. This could be an opportunity to try and punish the overly aggressive Jace. Killer Queen is of course just trying to protect his top side, and we're just going to be waiting to see if anything can get moving. If we look towards the mid lane, both these mid laners have taken the minion demats to try and make sure they can get the shove going. Gloria is going to be behind early on because Talia doesn't really do any real damage with their Q until level 9, but I'm gonna hopefully start to see them trying to make the move shortly and impact the rest of the map.
We'll have to wait and see where we do get that first early aggression. We're expecting Team Wells to be slightly more aggressive, having the likes of the Wukong, the Jace, the Talia over the likes of the Viego and the Gwen that probably want a little bit more time to get strong or pick up some components for an item first.
Yeah, we're gonna see Nagia just poke his head in and find Guri on that crab. Means he's gonna have to play a little bit safe. The wave is pushing back into him, so he's not going to be in too much trouble. You'd think. No, he's playing it safe with the Shock Blast. Just wait for the wave to bounce back into him. He's all fine. Kill Queen is going to pick up the scuttle on the bot side. Oh, no, Nagia stuck around.
Trying to outplay the stun from the Spectral more, and will be able to do that, although forced under his tower by Guri, able to hold on at both of his summoners though. Well, I say both of his summoners, he could only really use one of those summoners in a fight.
I mean, he could have tried to teleport out of it once the stun had come through, but
true.
Decides not to, which makes a lot more sense to teleport back to lane and catch the wave that Hasmed is slowly trying to build up to crash. As a result, Guri is going to lose a camp out as a response. So good read from Killer Queen to get in there, find that quick invade. And now B has started a walk and he's gone for a roam, he's going to just maybe tiki-toe his way up towards the mid lane. Well, he's not even going to make it that fast. Pretty weak
It's
tour.
B roam o'clock, Marby. It's
Yeah.
time for B to go and see the wide world. I need to take a screenshot of this. So every time, like my pre-made ADCs complain about me roaming, you'll wait. I can show. See, look, B roaming level 3. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Pro players do it.
Yeah, I think Carrots is mostly just accepted the fact that I'm going to walk in as when I'm in support. Guri's gonna get a camp
Guri!
back though with a nice smite.
You sneaky so-and-so steals the camp away from Killer Queen and says to Killer Queen, hey, you want to take away my chickens? I'm going to take away your frog.
Yeah, I mean, small win for Killer Queen. The chickens are worth more, but
And
it's not
chicken
going
does taste
to
better
mean
than
all
frog.
that much. Yeah, it's not going to mean all that much. The French might disagree with you, but Guri wants to disagree with Killer Queen. That's going to need to be a flash.
Oh,
Surely.
good charm that
Oh.
lands. Forced to flash away from Guri's engage. So that's one summon spell down now for the Team Wales jungler.
Yeah, holds it a little bit long. Thought he could try and sneak away onto the through the minefield, but Froggy lands a good charm, and that will force that summer spell to come out. Team Wales going to put a bit of pressure in, but they can't really contest this Drake. Though, actually, Killer Queen's hasn't exactly left the building, so nothing's going to happen. Curry's going to take half his health from the dragon and just have to walk away. So nothing actually too bad to come of it. Just that one summoner spell that might play a role at a Rift Herald fight in 2 minutes, but otherwise all is calm in the jungle.
I don't want to say that this is a passive game, Marby, but it feels like a tentative game might be a better word for it.
Yeah, we're still waiting for something to actually sort of break open. The solo lanes aren't getting quite the leads they were last time. Nagia's getting a bit of damage down to the turret plates, but not really breaking out in CS. There's about a wave for Glory. Okay, Killer Queen might find himself caught out here once again.
Killer Queen wanted to trade frog for frog. Guri over the wall. The charm is going to land, and Nagia says, I want no part of this. First blood secured by the Saigon Buffalo mid laner.
You can't just grade that up. You have the push from Nagia, but what's he really gonna do? He's not a great skirmisher at these early levels. And you're just trying to counter jungle, one of the hardest camps to get to, trying to get away. Glory had the roam, and you just feed that first blood over to Glory. It's over to Froggy, and Glory's going to be quite annoyed about that. So is Nagia, because that's an assist given over, and all their hard work in the lane has just kind of been fizzled out because the jungle man got too greedy.
To be honest, maybe that's just how to play against Killer Queen. Play really passive early on, there won't be any kills, and then Killer Queen's just going to get really angsty. He's going to feel like he has to do something, and then you can take advantage of his oversteppers. Glory roaming up towards the top lane. Is this going to be a window for Glory to maybe catch out Harsmed? No, I'm not going to try to cancel that back.
No, they're not actually going to try. They're going to get a plate perhaps out of this onto Nagia. Nope, teleport comes through. But they've made the full rotation. They've made the full swap up for this Rift Herald. Does Blade go down? No, not quite. Unlucky for Nagia. But they've left Zeri alone. They committed Vit as well to hold and push out the mid wave while Glory sort of hovered to their top side. So it's going to be Shogun picking up some free gold in that bot side, and SGB actually also converting onto this dragon as well. Now Vit's in a bit of a sticky situation under this tower. Buffalo not going to push for it. They don't need to. They scale quite comfortably into this game. They don't need to make major movements. They're up a kill. They're up a dragon. And if this Rift Herald doesn't get that much value, they're perfectly happy.
Almost a bit surprising that Shogun currently has the CS lead over Vit. It's not a large CS lead, but it is still advantage for this area, as Shogun playing very aggressively, actually baiting Vit and B to cancel their backs in the hopes that they could maybe find a play onto Shogun.
Yeah, I think it's just that extra wave, sort of that wave that kind of got lost in rotation with Vit going towards the mid lane to cover the Rift Herald play. But it's a bit bit extra gold is about that half a wave. It's a bit of damage onto the tower. I think, yeah, it's one plate traded, so it's just a little bit more gold for this Sari, which is always frightening if you're Team Wales, but still waiting to see where Killer Queen wants to go with this. Where he wants to put this. He could get a top lane tower pretty comfortably by putting up topside, but you kind of want to get your Xayah rolling into a comfortable position. Kind of has to stick around for one more wave. Does fit because there's that one CS left on the Cull. Just waiting for that to go down. Kind of holding a freeze, it looks like. But now Froggy on the roam once again.
Power Shock Blast, well sidestepped by Hazmed, and Killer Queen just having a feel on whether he wants to make a play onto this top side. B is hovering around, so there is a big numbers advantage for Team Wells. Spotted out by a ward, over the wall goes Killer Queen. B here as well, and now Team Wells just have to wait for Nagia to get this wave prepped up. Hazmed over the wall, straight into the waiting members of Team Wales. Can he outplay this? Knocked up by the Cyclone. Killer Queen will get the kill, and Guri just a few seconds too late to keep his top laner alive.
More like Hazmed a few seconds too early. Now Guri's gonna pay.
Engage comes through.
Fall.
Still alive. Good charm though, landing onto Glory. I think Glory might die here in a 1v2 and indeed will perish. But it is still overall 2 kills for 2 as Nagia did die in that trade somewhere.
Oh, the minion aggro just ignoring that tower on like 1 health. Come on, just that's.
Ooh,
that's
I'm surprised Froggy
so
wouldn't
sad.
let that fall because I don't think anyone would get the gold for it.
No, I mean Killer Queen might have he wouldn't have gotten local. He would have gotten that last plate gold. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess he could have just let those minions die and then let the tower die. But he's decided to try and hold this way. Either way, overall the play is a 2-for-1 and a lot of gold taken from plating. So Team Wales isn't actually too upset. That Rift Tower worked out pretty okay. Another bot side,
I think it was a 2-for-2, or was it a 2-for-1?
2-for-1, looking across the... Oh no, 2-for-2, Nagia died as well, my bad. Yep, 2-for-2. So, actually, maybe they're not quite as happy as they could have been. They get a small gold advantage out of it through the Rift Herald, but... Yeah, not great. And this... How far back are we showing? Okay, we're showing that Killer Queen was definitely spotted. B was not. That's the crucial thing. They didn't know B was in here as well. So Husband goes in early thinking, I can survive long enough for just against Killer Queen, but against the two-man, can't survive long enough. Then they commit the ultimate from Glory to kill Guri as well. And unfortunately, they don't kind of respect new Rift Herald being significantly weaker, as well as that just the edge of the hostile takeover clipping a couple of people, keeping them low. If that was old Rift Herald from like last season, that would have been a dead turret. There would have been a lot less damage coming on top of Team Wales, and it probably would have been a much cleaner win. But just nerfed Rift Herald doesn't take down towers anymore, so
I think Code.
They set it up
sorry. Why am I saying coated? Not coated. Nagia got slightly caught out. See, that's the issue. I see Jace, I think of coated. I think Nagia got slightly caught out, but he started taking tower aggro after they got the kill onto Hazmed, and he was slightly minion blocked and just couldn't get out and just took 2 or 3 tower shots and died, and then Glory's on the wrong side as the rest of Team Wales are backing off. So not the cleanest of plays from Team Wales, but they'll take the fact that they picked up a lot of tower plates, and now they've picked up a first tower as well for Nagia on this base. Eclipse completed as well.
Yeah, it just took an extra wave essentially to bring that down, but now we're gonna see this dragon potentially coming online. Buffalo is Shogun rather is a lot stronger. That's a decent pick on the Froggy. Okay, Killer Queen might have gone too far again. Everfrost will keep Froggy safe from the B. And his dragon actually going to go uncontested.
Taki just working his way up, wants to see if he can harass Team Wales at all, but Team Wales should be able to pick up their first trick of the game. But here is Guri coming inside the harrowed path, not able to steal it away. Drake secured by the side of Team Wales, and they also got out Taki's ultimate on that Renata.
Yeah, I was just trying to look for something, but this cover should mean Shogun will get a decent amount of tower damage. Doesn't actually have the wave to finish it off. So he might have, if Glory doesn't actually go down to try and contest it, and it might just end up being Team Wales trading that bot lane tower for this second Rift Herald, which is, you know, a decision. I don't think that's worth it. Especially with it just being completely seceded, no response from Glory to try and clear a wave or anything. This Rift Herald better get them a tower in the mid lane. Otherwise, it's just not worth giving all that free gold to Zeri.
And we talked about it during the drafting phase as well, Mobby, the fact that Saigon Buffalo with this Gwen and Zeri are going to be so strong in the latter portions of this game, and Shogun has been relatively uncontested so far, still a few CS ahead of it, has been able to pick up a tower as well. Immortal Shieldbow completed and will be going towards, is it the Runans that you go on, Zeri, or is it Rapid Fire?
Yep. Yeah, given the double daggers, that's definitely a Runan's Hurricane coming on out as the second item. Still, so it does mean when the second item power spikes come on through, Vit should be slightly stronger. Right now, Shogun is definitely stronger. I think you've got the shield bow passive just outdoes what Gale Force can do at the time. You've got a little bit more in your component setup. You've got the boots have actually been even out, but they synergize slightly nicer with the Shogun. So all in all, Shogun's going to be quite happy, but Vit, once those quick blades come on through, will be able to contest, and we're still waiting for that big team fight to actually come out from these teams. Next Dragon is
this
still
little
a while
fight
away, so it shouldn't happen.
That little fight we had over the control board was extremely entertaining. In the end, Saigon Buffalo were able to secure it. Now, Glory stepping very far forward, has to be careful. Has actually gone for a Crown of Shattered Creed. Good cleanse onto the charm from Froggy. Actually, that leads me to a question that I have for you, Mobby. What do you think of Glory going for Crown of the Shattered Queen over, the Luden's Pulse or Leandri's?
I think it's definitely okay. If it's good for when Glory's in a side lane, then he's gonna get maybe gets jumped on by a lot of people. It's pretty easily popped, so it's not the best thing in the world. But they brought down Nagia into this mid lane to crash over this tower, and now this Rift Herald is 100% worth the swap because you've got so much map pressure. You get a bunch of gold delivered across the team. Now it's not as concentrated as it is on the side of Saigon Buffalo, but it's your second tower. You've got so much more ability to control the map, and that mid lane tower in that game one was a big reason why Team Wales couldn't force quite as aggressively as they wanted to in some situations. So that's all worked out well. In short, I'm never super thrilled with Crown Shattered Queen, especially when it can get popped pretty comfortably, but I definitely see the reasoning behind it.
Bit of extra safety for Glory. This game still being a relatively slow start. 5 kills in 18 minutes. Definitely not VCS style. We saw a lot more aggression in game 1, and who knows what we'll see in a potential game 3. But Saigon Buffalo very happy with how this game is panning out. Yes, they're 1 more behind, but as we mentioned before, this Gwen and this Zeri are just going to be getting stronger and stronger, and it's Team Wales who have the onus on them to make plays happen.
Yeah, we're still really trying to wait for something. I think that first Dragon going to the side of SGB kind of really put a wrench in Team Wales's put a wrench in what Team Wales wanted to do, because they no longer get so much ability to force and control fights like Buffalo had in game 1 almost with that with their dragon stacking. But because this time, even if Buffalo just sort of lets the next couple go, next couple go, they're still okay. They get the time, which is really all they're after, time to hit their items. And here it's gonna eat a lot of damage, and Banshee's Veil coming in huge.
Yeah, and the Empowered Shock Blast eaten up entirely by that Banshee's Veil. Froggy back over the wall with the Spirit Rush, looking for another charm. Forces Nagia to flash away defensively, but here comes B from the side, and Froggy goes golden. There will be no charm. Can B time the grand entrance perfectly, where the rest of Team Wales is here. Froggy desperately trying to outplay, but he can't outplay a 1v3, and Killer Queen will pick up the kill.
Unfortunately, that's going to concede the dragon, and that was sort of what Team Wales needed. Team Wales were kind of needing to win early game, so they're going to kill Husband instead.
They will kill Hazmed instead. Hostile takeover, the very big, not going to be enough to keep Hazmed alive as a bailout ticks down, and Team Wells will say, fine, you get the Drake, we'll get another kill, and maybe we'll pick up an inner tower as well.
Didn't quite have the wave to take down the tower. If they grabbed that, that would have been absolutely fantastic, but not going to be the case. So Dragon goes over to SGB. Once again, it's not too bad for Team Wales, because it's not like that puts them on some point or anything, but you did want to try and grow your lead a little bit more. It's climbed its way up to about 2.5k. That's still not very much, as this is the second half. It's a very nice play from Glory, actually getting that down. Just Husband either didn't have W up, which would be weird, or just wasn't really respecting it, just trying to say, I can step out of this.
I think even if you use the Hallowed Mist, I think Glory would have been within the mist, so the stun still lands.
Yeah, quite possible.
However, Weaver's Wall and Team Wells, we said the onus is on them to make a play, and they are looking for more plays, forcing the flash out of Guri, forcing Shogun to use the Ghost as well, and now Team Wells could even have a think about starting up the Baron.
Guri using both Flash and Heartbreaker to get away from that. I don't think he needed both of them, and... Okay, now Froggy's going to try and go in.
He's fishing, misses the charm. The Seismic Shove almost lands onto the Saigon Buffalo mid laner, and that is a needlework being used as well by Harsman. So a lot of ults have been burnt over the last few seconds with not much to show for it. B searching for a potential engage, has a flash available as well as the quickness, and Team Wells just going to force Saigon Buffalo out of the mid lane before heading back towards the Baron pit.
Yeah, they force out a bunch of shock blasts. They put Guri onto a state of health where he has to just abandon. He can't be on the map anymore. Meanwhile, they've also blown the Shirelius, so that actually ruins sending a potential sort of collapse on the Baron pit. They're gonna try and trade it for mid lane, but Glory's in position to wave clear. They're not gonna get anything. Shogun escapes though.
Grand entrance just outside of Shogun's hitbox, so no knock-up for Team Wells and no follow-up either. And Saigon Buffalo had to think about going for the outer tower, but B and Glory did a very good job of just zoning Saigon Buffalo away from the Baron, and then as a result they could transition very quickly to the defense of their mid lane tower.
Yeah, that looks like they're just gonna try and do their best to scavenge as much gold off the map as they can, take it away from Team Wales, which is about as good a play as they could do. It's the best situation they were left with after that mid lane push sort of fell apart. But it's beautiful from Team Wales utilizing that poke. It's a sort of that poke over nothing that it wasn't set up for an objective. It didn't give Saigon Buffalo an opportunity to really have a conversion when Team Wales works on the Baron. It just meant that Buffalo sort of floundered. They've managed to get a wave to the turret, but it wasn't in position that they could convert and take it down. But now Baron in hand, that's one tower off the board. There's still an entire bot lane left of free turrets that Nagia could go down to, but wants to pair up alongside Vit, and Shirley is open for B. Trying to put the fear of God into Saigon Buffalo.
For now, Team Wells not going to play too aggressively. They know that they can just poke with those shock blasts, forcing Taki to flash with the Weaver's Wall, and that's another inner tower going their way. But Saigon Buffalo looking for a play. Everfrost lands, B goes golden. That means that the charm doesn't land. Hostile takeover won't find anyone as into the backline goes Killer Queen, and Taki has already fallen. Froggy forced to defensively jump away, but Killer Queen finds an angle on to the Ari. Can he get a kill? Heartbreaker, Killer Queen flashes away, still able to stay alive. That flash forward shut down for Shogun, but he will pay for that kill with his life. 2 kills for 1 in favor of Team Wales.
That's not worth it. That's not worth it, Shogun. You'll be AD carry. You have to stay alive. You've committed both your summoner spells to get the 1 kill, and that's just going to open up that inhibitor tower. That's going to open up the inhibitor for Team Wales. They can't end the game off of that, but they get perfect position to reset for this next dragon. So 40 seconds left on Baron. Are they going to do anything more? No, just want to get a little bit away, make their recalls a bit safer.
And now they'll be able to make their way as a 5 towards the Drake. Killer Queen will be spawning soon. Actually, Glory just teleporting straight into the bottom lane just to get some priority and set up some vision, and maybe even pick up an outer tower before the Ocean Drake does come onto the rift.
The plus side for SGB is, again, I'm going to keep bringing up the point. it's a good spot for Dragons. As this starts off with, once again, Buffalo trying to do something, but where the hell is that hostile takeover going? Froggy whiffs his charm, and Killer Queen goes really hard onto Taki, which is a bit of a... I thought it would be a bit of an overstep, but just narrowly being able to sneak away. Then Shogun just commits to it, but then gets caught out in the backline. That's all she wrote. You can't commit your flash to pick off one jungler when there's everything still up from the rest of the team. They did pick up the dragon off screen, and now they're just trying to siege down the spot lane tower. It's going to be a little bit harder to do now that the Baron buff is gone, but that gold lead has now broken right open to 7,000 gold. What can Saigon Buffalo do? They still have all the tools to make a comeback. They have a Zeri, which is always something you to be wary of. Hostile takeover is going to deny the push.
Froggy finds a little charm onto B, but Grand Entrance for Khan extremely mobile, able to just jump out of the danger. And again, this series determines whether Saigon Buffalo makes it to playoffs. If Team Wales win this game, Team Wales are locked into playoffs and Saigon Buffalo are out. For the first time since 2020, Saigon Buffalo would fail to make playoffs.
Yeah, their pretty much only hope then is sort of, they're hoping not to hit relegations, which is where they were in 2020, with most of the roster. Husband's going to go in, but it's dissuaded.
Sorry, I do need to correct that. Winter 2021, Saigon Buffalo didn't make playoffs, so I guess it's not as impactful of a stat, but we always forget about Winter 2021. So you know what?
The Mickey Mouse split, as Rebel dubs it, which it kind of was, but that's going to be huge. It's actually going to be Gory's first time in playoffs since the Mickey Mouse split. It's going to be the first time he's in a playoffs, into playoffs in a actual international tournament qualifying split since his debut on Percent way back when. That actually was in 2020. I'm fairly sure. So there you go. Good ups for Glory. It's gonna be a huge turn. It's gonna be a big playoffs berth for a lot of these players. Killer Queen and Nagia. Killer Queen once again the winter split. Nagia never has really made it as a starter. I think he was on a substitute on a Team Secret roster that did, but this is still big for all these players. Still quite young. They've been around a little bit, but this is really their first success as a team.
And it'd also be really bad news for GARM because, let's face it, GARM don't know how to win finals unless it's against Saigon Buffalo right now. And if Saigon Buffalo don't make it in, maybe it's an angle for Cerberus, SBTC, or Team Wales to take a title away from a GAM. Saigon Buffalo trying to work their way in, or Killer Queen. You don't want to take those kind of blast codes. That's risky. Able to sidestep on the spectrum, all but the rest of Team Wales making their way up. Killer Queen has been able to get out, and the Shirelia's popped by the side of Team Wales. In they go with the engage, and is straight onto Shogun. Can he get the reset? No, he can't. Killer Queen's still alive. Blade Caller through. Team Wales get two. Froggy trying to get kills on the backside of the fight, but somehow Killer Queen is still alive. Eventually falls from the ignite, and B and Vit have to be so careful. Vit is largely untouched, throws out the feathers, gets another kill, and his only target left side is where Nagia's ending the game on the back door. Taki will fall, Saigon Buffalo will fall. Hello playoffs, goodbye Buffalo. Wales locked into the top four.
They win the 4v5 and Nagia ends the base. It's a huge stomp from Team Wales right at the end. This is playoffs locked. All four teams. We now know it's Cerberus, it's Wales, it's SBTC Esports, and it's GARM in this playoffs race now. Well, not race, it's in playoffs. This is a huge win for Team Wales, and it's a huge statement series from Vit. He played extremely well. His laning against Shogun, it was a bit worse, but he held on even in a really bad match, pretty close in a really bad matchup in game one. He was even in this game, and he just absolutely crushed the team fights, which is so good to see. It's what Team Wales have needed from this player, and it's going to get the playoffs from it.
I don't know if you saw as well on the video feed, but Guri went to give, I think it was a fist bump to B, and B moved his hand away, denied the fist bump, and then gave Guri a little hug. But Team Wales into playoffs. So what we know is that GAM they're already locked in as the top seed heading into playoffs, and then it's going to be between Cerberus, SBTC, and Team Wales to decide what their seeding will be for second place, and then I guess GAM get to decide who they want to face off in the first round of playoffs. But a very good performance from Team Wales, and again, Nagia having a good showing. It wasn't dominant. He didn't find solo kills, but he did exactly what he needed to do, which was get a couple of items and then just find big shot blasts to force Saigon Buffalo away from objective fights.
Yeah, pretty much. It wasn't the lane dominance, and I was sort of questioning it into the Gwen because I didn't really feel it was going to get an advantage to counterbalance what Gwen can do, but he was landing shot blast after shot blast in the mid game, and that gave Team Wales objective priority over the Baron, and from that one Baron, they sort of snowballed it really effectively. They never took their foot off the gas, and it sort of got into the heads of Saigon Buffalo. I think especially Shug, and you could see him flashing forward so aggressively, trying to make plays happen, and then just getting pounced on by B and it all falling apart.
And I think, in particular, this game too was a very, very clean game from Team Wales. Because I know for me, I was starting to feel a bit worried because Saigon Buffalo had that scaling, but I don't think Team Wales themselves were ever worried. They said, okay, you know what, Saigon, you guys take the first rig, that's fine. And after that, it was just so clean. And you can see from that goal difference graph, that is literally a perfect goal graph, right? If you showed anyone that, they'd say, you know what, that looks like a perfect game from Red Side.
Yeah, it was really good. They gave objectives when they need to. They cross-mapped well, and I mean, then they put the team fights together beautifully. This is a great showing from Wales that we really want to see. They have 2 more matches left, which are against lower tier teams, but the hard part is done. Like your next goal is to try and get yourself to second, so you can't get executed by GAM in first round. But I mean, and with strength of schedules, I think they've got a pretty good shot at it. They can, if they beat Secret and they beat Flash, that puts them onto 9 wins. SBTC is probably going to contest them. I mean, SBTC and Cerberus can definitely contest them and put it all up in the air, but and then it's still close within playoffs where the seeding can land.
Well, for Team Wales, for playing against 2 of the teams at the bottom of the league, I think calling them bottom of the league might be a bit unfair because it is very close from Team Secret, Team Flash, Saigon Buffalo, and even the likes of Team Wales and SBTC. But then you look at the games that Cerberus and SBTC have. They both have a game against GAM, so that's going to be tough for them. And then Cerberus and SBTC have to play against each other, so there's guaranteed that a game's going to be dropped there. And the other thing is, if Team Wales can make themselves look like a strong team, it could scare GAM away from picking them in that first round. And recency bias is the thing. So if you can end the week going 6-0 or 3-0 in terms of series, that's a very good look and a lot of momentum to carry you into playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you say, it's the top 2 teams have to play, the other 2 playoff teams have to play each other, and then GAM. So they're probably going to finish on sort of lower notes or more harder struggles, and that might sort of get in their own head. But we're going to have to see. We're going to see where they have to go for it, because that's this series done. It's bye to Buffalo for overall. They're not going to relegation just yet, but I think there's still a chance that can happen, but it's quite slim.
I mean, Saigon Buffalo are now 1 game ahead of Team Flash and Team Secret. They've played the same number of series. If Flash and Secret could pick up a series against Team Wales, Saigon Buffalo still have a series against GAM to play. It's going to be tight. It's going to be close, but enough talking about what could happen. Instead, we're going to throw to a break, and then we will return with what will happen, which is a series between GAM and Cerberus. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in a short bit.